I used to think good sleep was something automatic. For decades, I'd lay down and drift off without counting sheep, playing soft music, or trying any tricks. But then, one day, everything changed. I started waking up at 2 a.m., wide awake for no reason. My mind would spin through memories, to-do lists, and even the most random thoughts. And by morning, it felt like I hadn't slept at all. Sleep, once the simplest, most natural part of life, had suddenly become a nightly struggle. I know I'm not alone. Many of my peers experience the same thing. No matter how tired they are, their bodies just don't rest like they used to. Some turn to pills, some to herbal teas, some just try to live with it, night after night of broken sleep. But I believe this: we all deserve to sleep well, whether we're 60, 70, or 90 years old. In today's video, I'll be sharing 12 simple habits that I and many other seniors have used to improve our sleep. Nothing complicated, no prescriptions, no fancy gadgets. Just natural, gentle changes that can make a big difference. Are you sleeping well at night? Or do you ever find yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., hoping sleep will return? If so, stay with me. You might just hear your own story and mine, and more importantly, find a few keys to restful, peaceful nights. I know you've heard this advice before. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. Sounds simple enough, right? But let me be honest, it took me nearly a lifetime to truly follow it. After retirement, I thought I had earned the freedom to be flexible. Stay up late, watch an extra episode of my favorite show, sleep in the next morning. What I didn't realize was that my body, even at this age, craves consistency. One time, after a full week of sticking to a solid bedtime, I decided to treat myself to a late night. I watched a game, had a few sweet snacks. The result? I tossed and turned all night and felt like I'd run a marathon the next day. That experience taught me something important. You can't catch up on sleep. Your body needs a steady rhythm, not cycles of late nights and recovery naps. So I started small. I set an alarm not just for waking up, but also for winding down at night. I picked a bedtime that felt right and I stuck to it. Weekends, holidays, no exceptions. And you know what? Within just a few weeks, my body adjusted. I began to feel sleepy at the same time each night, woke up feeling refreshed, and most importantly, started sleeping more deeply. The truth is, when you go to bed at the same time, your mind and body feel safe. It's a quiet way of telling yourself, it's time to rest. Everything's okay. If you're struggling with sleep, don't overlook this tiny habit. Give your body the consistency it needs, and watch how it transforms your nights. There was one habit I used to think was harmless: checking my phone before bed. Just a quick glance at the news, a few funny videos, maybe scrolling through social media. But the more I did it, the harder it was to fall asleep, even when I felt exhausted. I still remember a night when I couldn't sleep. Even though the clock was nearing 1 a.m., I kept scrolling, from headlines to comment sections, from one video to the next. By the time I finally put my phone down, my mind was racing, my heart beating fast, and sleep was nowhere in sight. After that night, I made a decision. I set a personal rule: no screens after 9 p.m. At first, it wasn't easy. I felt restless, even a little lost. But after a few days, something changed. I started falling asleep faster, sleeping more deeply, and waking up feeling better. Instead of looking at a screen, I picked calming activities to wind down. Reading a physical book, not an e-book, but a real one, became my favorite. There's something about the feel and smell of paper that brings peace. Some nights I listen to soft music. Other nights I just write a few quiet thoughts in a journal. You can start by keeping your phone away from your bed. If you use it as an alarm, consider getting a small bedside clock. It's worth the switch. And if you need gentle entertainment, go offline with coloring, audiobooks, or simply talking with loved ones. The message I want to share is this: let your mind rest before your body does. A busy brain won't sleep well. Turning off your screens early is your way of saying, it's time to relax. I've always been a true coffee lover. For years, a cup of afternoon coffee brought me comfort, especially after lunch. But as I got older, I started noticing a pattern. Sleepless nights became more frequent, and I couldn't figure out why. I remember one afternoon, around 2 p.m., I was at my favorite cafe, sipping a cappuccino while reading. It was peaceful. But that night, I tossed and turned until nearly dawn. At first, I blamed stress or age, but after a few more sleepless nights, I realized something: my afternoon coffee was the culprit. Our bodies process caffeine much more slowly after age 60. That means even a cup in the early afternoon can keep your system alert well into the night. I didn't believe it at first, but when I stopped drinking coffee after noon, something wonderful happened. I started sleeping better, without waking up in the middle of the night. I still enjoy my coffee, but only in the morning now. After lunch, I go for gentle herbal teas like chamomile or peppermint. It gives me that same soothing pause without interfering with my rest. And when I miss that bold flavor, I reach for a decaf coffee, warm and comforting without the buzz. The lesson I want to share is this: small changes in your daily habits can lead to big improvements in sleep. Sometimes, better rest doesn't come from a pill, it comes from listening to your body and adjusting with care. I have a friend named George, 74 years old. He lives alone after losing his wife a few years ago. To pass time in the evenings, George often kept the TV on until late at night, sometimes watching action movies, sometimes the late news. Lately, George had been telling me how he couldn't sleep well. He'd either lie awake for hours or wake up after just a few hours, his mind racing. He assumed it was just part of aging, but when I asked what he usually did before bedtime, he grinned and pointed to his remote. I suggested he try turning off the TV at least an hour before bed and instead read a book or listen to calm music. He was skeptical but agreed to try. A week later, George called me and said, "Frank, you were right. Turning off the TV before bed really helped me sleep better." The truth is, blue light from screens, whether it's a TV or phone, suppresses melatonin, the hormone our bodies need to sleep. Our brains get confused and think it's still daytime, making it harder to fall and stay asleep. This small habit, avoiding screens before sleep, can make a huge difference. I used to make the same mistake. Now, I spend the last 30 minutes of my evening journaling or listening to soft instrumental music. Sleep comes gently, without tossing and turning. The takeaway is, you don't need complex fixes to sleep better. Sometimes, simply turning off one device can turn on your inner calm. I used to think drinking plenty of water before bed was a good habit. I believed staying hydrated would help with my joints and even prevent nighttime cramps. So, every evening, I made sure to drink a big glass of water, sometimes even 2. But then, I started waking up 2 or 3 times each night just to use the bathroom. At first, I brushed it off, thinking it was normal for someone in his 70s. But night after night, I became more and more exhausted. It wasn't just the interruptions, it was the struggle to fall back asleep afterward. One evening during our usual dinner, my friend Henry, who's also in his 70s, noticed how tired I looked. I told him what was going on and he chuckled gently, saying, "Frank, that's exactly what happened to me. Try drinking most of your water during the day and cut it off at least 2 hours before bed." I gave it a shot. The next day, I made sure to hydrate well in the morning and afternoon. After dinner, I limited myself to just a few sips of water. The result? I slept through the night for the first time in weeks. The message here is simple. Our bodies change as we age. What worked before may not work now. Drinking water is essential, yes, but timing is everything. Too much water too late, and you might be disrupting your own rest without even realizing it. If you're waking up frequently at night, ask yourself, could your evening hydration habits be the cause? Try shifting your fluid intake earlier in the day and see how your sleep responds. Remember, sometimes small changes make a big difference. A good night's sleep often begins with what you do hours before your head hits the pillow. One thing I've learned the hard way is this: your worries don't go away just because you turn off the lights. In fact, they often get louder in the silence of the night. There was a time when I couldn't sleep, not because of noise, not because of discomfort, but because my mind wouldn't stop racing. I'd lie in bed thinking about my kids, my health, finances, things I'd said or done decades ago. The past, the future, everything would swirl around in my head like a storm. It got to the point where I dreaded bedtime. I knew that as soon as I laid my head on the pillow, the overthinking would start. One night, after tossing and turning for hours, I finally got up, sat at my desk, and wrote down everything on my mind. I called it the brain dump. To my surprise, once I wrote those thoughts down, I felt calmer. It was like I'd taken them out of my head and placed them somewhere safe. That night, I slept better. From that day forward, I started a simple nightly ritual. 10 minutes before bed, I write. Not long paragraphs, just short bullet points of anything that's bothering me. Sometimes it's a fear, sometimes a reminder, sometimes a random memory. But once it's on paper, my mind doesn't have to hold on to it. Here's the message: don't carry your emotional luggage into bed. Let it go before you lie down. Whether you write it, pray about it, or talk it out with someone you trust, find a way to release the tension in your heart. Sleep isn't just about closing your eyes. It's about quieting your spirit. And when your mind is peaceful, your body follows. So tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself, what am I holding onto that I can set down for now? You might be surprised how powerful that one small question can be. My friend George is 73 this year. He's always been a homebody, quiet, prefers staying in, reading, or tinkering with his old radio. But a few months ago, he started to feel more tired than usual. His mood dropped, and he often complained of not having energy, even after a good night's sleep. When he visited the doctor, they ran some tests and discovered his vitamin D levels were very low. The culprit: a lack of sunlight. George had unknowingly fallen into a habit many older adults share, spending most of the day indoors. Whether it's because of joint pain, safety concerns, or simply routine, it's easy to forget how vital sunlight is, not just for bones, but for mood and sleep quality too. The solution wasn't complicated. His doctor advised him to spend just 15 to 30 minutes each morning in natural light, preferably before 10 a.m. So George made a change. He now walks around his garden or sits on the porch with a cup of tea and a newspaper. It didn't take long to see the difference. Within a few weeks, his energy improved, his sleep became more restful, and even his outlook on life felt lighter. That small routine of soaking in morning sun became a quiet joy in his day. The lesson here is simple. Natural light is not just a luxury, it's a need, especially as we age. It helps regulate our internal clock, lifts our spirits, and supports stronger bones. If stepping outside isn't possible, even sitting by a sunny window can help. Or consider gentle activities that bring you closer to natural light. watering your plants, walking to the mailbox, or chatting with a neighbor on the front steps. The message I want to leave you with today is this: don't let the sun pass you by. Let it warm your skin, brighten your heart, and quietly heal your body, one sunrise at a time. I once had a neighbor named David, now 70 years old. He loved cooking, especially big, hearty dinners. But there was one small issue. He often ate dinner very late, around 9 or 10 p.m. after watching his favorite shows. At first, he thought it was harmless. He even found it relaxing to eat in peace. But soon, he started experiencing sleep problems, trouble falling asleep, waking up in the middle of the night and feeling bloated and uncomfortable. He'd wake up tired and sluggish. When he finally saw a doctor, the advice was simple: change the dinner schedule. Instead of eating close to bedtime, he should finish dinner by 7 p.m., giving his body time to digest before sleep. David followed that advice. It wasn't easy at first. He had eaten late for years. But within a few weeks, his sleep improved significantly. He felt lighter, slept deeper, and woke up feeling more refreshed. The message here is clear. Eating dinner too late can disrupt your sleep cycle and force your digestive system to work overtime at night. This can lead to poor sleep and affect your overall health. Try to eat dinner before 7 p.m. and keep it light and easy to digest. After eating, take a short walk, just 10-15 minutes, to support digestion. A small habit shift, like adjusting your dinner time, can make a big difference in your sleep quality and overall well-being. And as David learned, a good night's sleep often begins with the right dinner time. Let me tell you about Grace. She's in her late 70s, lives alone, and rarely leaves the house. Every day, she stays in her room with the curtains closed tightly to block out the sun. She believed that this helped protect her aging eyes and sensitive skin. But over time, Grace began to feel gloomy, irritable, and her sleep became restless. My mother gently suggested she try opening the curtains to let in natural light and maybe take a short walk in the morning. At first, Grace didn't believe it would help. But eventually, she gave it a try, just 10 minutes of walking in her garden each morning. The result was remarkable. After only a few weeks, she felt more uplifted, slept better, and began to feel joy return to her life. Natural sunlight does more than brighten a room. It helps regulate the body's internal clock and boosts serotonin production, a key hormone for mood improvement. A lack of daylight can leave older adults feeling sluggish, disconnected, or even mildly depressed. Here's the takeaway: don't let yourself live in the dark, both literally and emotionally. No matter your age, you deserve to bask in natural light every single day. Be like Grace. Open the curtains, let the sunshine in, and if you can, step outside and breathe in the fresh air. Sometimes just 10 minutes in the morning is enough to start a brighter, healthier, and more energetic day. A good night's sleep begins with the quiet moments you give yourself before closing your eyes. Robert, an old friend of mine, used to be a dedicated workaholic. Even after retiring at 70, he kept working late into the night, answering emails, watching the news, scrolling through headlines. He believed that retirement didn't mean slowing down. But then, insomnia slowly crept into his life. He found himself tossing and turning at night, waking up frequently, and feeling drained every morning. When I asked if he took time to relax before bed, he simply said, "I never thought it was necessary." And that was exactly the problem. Our bodies and minds need cues that it's time to rest. Without a calming routine, the brain remains alert, working against restful sleep. After our talk, Robert gave something new a try. He turned off his electronics 30 minutes before bed, brewed a cup of herbal tea, played soft music, and read a few pages from his favorite book. Within a week, his sleep drastically improved. Relaxation before bedtime doesn't have to be elaborate. Simple activities like short meditation, gratitude journaling, a warm bath, or ambient sounds can send a clear message to your brain. It's time to wind down. Here's the message for you. Don't carry the whole world into your sleep. Let your day end with peace, not pressure. Quality sleep doesn't start with a pillow. It begins with the choices you make before getting into bed. Your body whispers before it screams. Listen early, not late. I remember a morning a few years ago. I woke up with a dull ache in my lower back. It wasn't unbearable, so I brushed it off. Probably just slept funny, I told myself. It'll go away in a few days. But it didn't. The pain got worse and even started radiating down my leg. Still, I waited. I convinced myself it was nothing. It wasn't until I struggled to bend over and put on my pants that I finally saw a doctor. The diagnosis: a pinched nerve caused by a misaligned vertebra. It could have been managed with simple physical therapy if I had caught it sooner. But because I delayed, it took months to recover, and even now, I still feel occasional discomfort. That experience taught me an important lesson. Never ignore the small signs your body sends. After 60, even minor changes are worth noticing: poor sleep, sudden fatigue, irritability, dizziness when standing. They can all point to something deeper. Listening to your body doesn't mean living in fear. It means living with awareness. Start a simple health journal, note any unusual symptoms, and don't hesitate to check with your doctor. Early action often prevents long-term complications. The message I want to leave you with: treat your body like the loyal companion it is. It's carried you through decades. Don't wait until it cries for help to give it the care it deserves. A peaceful sleep begins with a mindful, caring approach to your health. Sleep is the mirror of your health when it cracks. Don't just patch it, look for the root cause. I know that feeling all too well. Tossing and turning at 1 a.m., then 2 a.m., still wide awake. You lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for rest that never comes. By morning, instead of waking up refreshed, you drag your body out of bed like you've been up all night because, well, you have. At first, I brushed it off. Older folks sleep less, they say. But when it kept happening night after night, something changed. I started losing interest in my usual morning walks, skipping lunches with friends, even turning down phone calls. This wasn't just sleeplessness. It was a cry for help from my body. That's when I saw my doctor. Turns out, chronic insomnia can stem from underlying issues: hormone imbalances, thyroid problems, mild depression, or even side effects from medications. The checkup helped me get clarity, make small but important changes, and within weeks my sleep improved significantly. Here's my message to you: don't ignore long-term insomnia. Don't accept it as just a part of aging. If you're consistently missing restful sleep, your body is trying to tell you something. Take action today. Start a simple sleep journal. Track your bedtime, how long you sleep, and how you feel in the morning. Then bring it with you to your next doctor's appointment. Sleep isn't just rest, it's the foundation of energy, clarity, and vitality. Let this be the reminder you need. Your health is worth checking in on, and your sleep is too precious to lose. We've just explored 12 simple yet powerful habits that can transform your sleep in your senior years. Each one may seem small on its own, but together, they create a path toward restful, natural, and deeply rejuvenating sleep. From creating a peaceful sleep environment, setting a consistent bedtime, avoiding caffeine and screens, to managing stress, gentle movement, mental well-being, and even seeking medical help when needed. It all points to one clear truth: good sleep is not just a reward, It's the foundation of health in old age. And these aren't just tips on paper, they're real practical tools that people like you and me in our 60s, 70s, and 80s can apply every day. Sometimes it only takes a small shift, turning off the TV 30 minutes earlier, taking a slow evening walk, or learning to quiet the mind to make a huge difference. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of the 12 tips spoke to you the most? Or have you already tried something that helped improve your sleep? Share your experience in the comments. I and the healthy aging community would love to learn from you. If this video brought you value, please hit that like button, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the Healthy Aging channel so you don't miss our future videos on senior health, lifestyle, and longevity. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll dive into more inspiring tips to help you not just live longer, but live better.